Well, this is undoubtedly the most difficult stage of the whole process of doing segmented turning. That is, coming up with a shape that'll be pleasing to you and the rest of the world. And you're here because you're starting from nothing, so that's where we'll start from. You need some kind of a tool. It might be just a piece of paper with a pencil, or some kind of tool that has a Bezier curve or a spline curve capability, one of the drafting programs, or of course there's the segmented project planner, which I'll be using here. I'm starting off in the shapeable function and we're looking at the profile of an object that we're going to draw, and I can draw the points anywhere I want them. And right now we do not care a whit what the size of the object is going to be. What we care about is what the shape is. Later we'll worry about the size. You can make your objects tall and thin. You can move around where the main diameter is going to be, up or down, put it in the middle. Or you can make your objects short and squat. Something like that. It's mostly a time to play. So not only is it the most difficult stage in the process, it could also be the most fun because you can just play around with shapes. If you're doing it on the computer, you're just burning electrons and they don't cost much. So you can just play around with shapes until you get one that you like. That's not a bad shape. Now, if you want some help, I've got a thing called the Design Assistant, which worries about perfect ratios, the golden mean, or a simplified approximation is the photographer's 1/3, 2/3 rule. 0.618 is the golden mean. 0.667 is the photographer's rule. So what I've laid out here is the green is the overall shape of the project. It can be either tall and skinny, which is in the darker green, or in the lighter green we see the short and squat. And the darker the green is, the closer you are to being in perfection. So if I bring in this diameter, the green actually becomes black. And then once the diameter is, the basic top to bottom shape is figured out, then you would want to figure out, well, where do I want to put the maximum diameter? And that's what I've put in the red lines for. You've got two choices, one in the upper third or down in the lower third. Right now we're aiming at the upper third. Now we've made that very dark. And so the upper diameter placement versus the whole object agrees with the golden mean. And the last thing you would worry about is the foot. No real rules here at all. If you're going to do an artistic piece, you can go with smaller feet, or if you're going to go with a user object, something that's actually going to get some use, you might want to be a little wider in your foot. But it's all a matter of playing around. If you're working with a Bezier curve or a spline curve product, use as few points as you can to describe the shape that you want. Don't worry about fillets or coves or beads. What you're worried about in the first step is the shape. The height versus the width, Where's the maximum diameter point? What's the overall kind of an object it is? Here I've done an urn. This would be Grecian or European style. If I move that maximum diameter point down to here, it's more like a southwestern pot. Southwestern salad bowl, well, not quite that way. We'll do a southwestern like this. Okay, we can do that. There's more like a bowl. Or you can put an inflection in. Move that around to where you want it to be. And you don't have to follow the rules at all. For example, let's do one something like this. It more or less obeys the overall dimensioning, the height versus width, but beyond that, nothing. And that's not an unusual shape project. Certainly one that works well with segmented work. It's all a matter of playing around until you get it to a point where you like it. If you can't tell the difference between an oblong and a circle, check with your significant other. Maybe she has an idea or he has an idea. But the real key, for me anyway, is just play around with it until I get something I like. That looks more like a flying saucer. Here's one with a very high shoulder situation. Certainly legal. You can put a little inflection on that too. And a little here. Whoops. Let me put that in there. You do something like that. Move that up a little bit. Or maybe do it like that. So it's all in coming up with a shape. That's all it is. Nothing mystical about it. Just keep playing with the shape until you get something you like. Then proceed to the next step.